Everybody listen to We're Not Wizards, because we are the best, and we're not wizards, no matter what anybody says. Goodbye.
Hello and welcome to another episode of We're Not Wizards. My name's Richard. I'll be your host for the spookiest time of the year, which is October. But joining me today, I have what we call a repeat offender. They've been on the show a couple of times. They're back. They're just churning out these Kickstarters like nobody's business. And, every time I go to sleep, I seem to wake up and there seems to be another one. But for some reason, what's happening this time is that we're not kind of going to sleep and then waking up for a Kickstarter. We're actually dreaming and there's a Kickstarter happening at the same time, because here to talk about Dreams of Tomorrow is Carla Kopp from Weird Giraffe Games. Hello, Carla.
Hey, I'm so happy to be talking to you again.
It's good to have you back on the show because you're like... I just like talking to you. I was like having you on the show. So I was delighted. I was looking for an excuse to have you back on. So when you said you're doing another Kickstarter, I kind of rocked up on the Facebook Messenger and said, "Hey Carla, want to come on the show again?" And you were like, "Leave me alone, Richard. I've got other things to do. I'm an important games designer doing my 4th Kickstarter here, you know what I mean? Do you want to give me some space? Do you want to give me some room? Can you not speak to Tony again or something?" I was like, "Please come on, Carla, please." And you went, "Okay, as long as you stop annoying me." So it took a bit of persuasion. And but eventually you kind of said, "Okay, maybe." So that's good enough for me. For everybody listening for the first time, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us. The reason that we do this is because we are through the 200 episode barrier, and in order to keep the momentum like a rolling stone heading down a hill, gathering moths and sheep and tractors and all such other things, we aim to give you as good content as we can. And to get that, it means we must get the creme de la creme in terms of visitors and guests, which is why, as I say, we asked Carla back on the show. And the second reason that we're doing this is because come the middle of this spooky-tacular month, Carla has a Kickstarter coming to Kickstarter. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But we spoke a little while ago, so how's things? How are you?
I'm doing okay. Things are going a lot. So there's a lot of games happening. I'm actually in like another company as well, because I was like, you know what? I'm probably not busy enough just running one company. I should run 2, right?
Yeah, because who needs to sleep?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I don't sleep that much, so, I mean, because there's all the games and the emails and, there's always so many emails.
I've heard you kind of get bored quite easily as well, so I heard that you want to kind of just keep your mind kind of busy all the time, and that's why you're continuing to. So who's the other company that you're now making games for then?
So it's basically the best named company ever. It is Galactic Raptor Games.
That sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
And are you working on anything you can actually tell us at the moment that you're working on, or is it still kind of all hush hush?
Oh, yeah, I can. So also in the company is Nick from Weird Giraffe Games and Dan Letchering from Letterman Games. And our first, and our first game is Animal Kingdoms. It was a game that was originally by Stephen Armani, and it won the Cardboard Edison Award this year, I believe. And it's really awesome, actually.
Oh, cool. Okay. What made you decide to set up another company?
Well, so me and Dan, we talk kind of frequently. We're both part of the Indie Game Report, where I used to do interviews, like written interviews with different Kickstarter creators, and he did his Letterman lessons. And so we got talking, and we eventually both went to the same convention. It was Atlanta Game Fest, and we got to meet each other and hang out, and we were both like, you know what? It'd be cool if we could do more things, but we can only do more things if we have some help. And it was like, oh, well, we can both work on the same things and get more things done that way and create a new company. And that's kind of what happened.
That's cool. But did it not? I mean, was it not part of your thought? Well, could you not just bring him into Weird Giraffe Games, or did you kind of want that identity kind of to be kept kind of separate?
Yeah, I
You know.
wanted Weird Giraffe Games to stay weird, if you will, and
Okay.
he still had Letterman Games, and he controls everything in Letterman Games, but we just wanted a joint thing.
Okay. Well, I guess that kind of makes a lot of sense as well. And I guess it allows you to do stuff that completely different from going in different directions from maybe what you were wanting to do at kind of Weird Giraffe Games itself.
So, like, if a game doesn't fit Weird Giraffe Games, it might just fit Galactic Raptor Games.
So what kind of games are you thinking about producing with Galactic Raptor then? Is this going to be your potential minis type place to find, or is it going to be your bigger games, or what are you kind of thinking with that?
I'm thinking mainly bigger games that I want help with. Like, I can handle smaller card games with other bits and stuff, but I do want to handle, like, the big games. Like, I did Stellar Leap, which was a big game, but that was a lot of work and a lot of effort. And if I want to ever do one that's that large again, I want somebody to help out with it.
Yeah. I remember just seeing your kind of your posts on various board game groups at the time, and you seem to be just like pedal to the metal, kind of full speed ahead, kind of 24/7 when you were kind of putting Stellar Leap together, kind of, and you were fantastic at kind of keeping all the backers up to date with progress and what was happening with the game, and now that's kind of out there. It's out there. It's in people's hands. What's the feedback been like on the game that you've heard so far?
Everyone that's reached out to me has liked it. Like, people love the quality of the game, the like replayability, like basically everything. I've only heard good things.
That's good. That's awesome. And how are things progressing with Fire in the Library? Because that was obviously your follow-up that you kind of worked alongside Tony Miller on. Where are you kind of in a progress with regards to how that's kind of coming together?
So manufacturing is scheduled to be done next week. So, and then it gets and it comes to us.
Yeah. Okay. How are you handling fulfillment? Is everything getting sent to you, and then are you sending it out across the world, or are you kind of sending it into Europe to, like, say, Happy Shops or fulfillment partners in Europe to kind of fulfill that?
So we're still making the final decisions, but it should be on two boats. One that will go to Europe, and hopefully to Games Quest, where Games Quest will fulfill everything outside the U.S. And then we'll get a shipment here, and we're thinking about using Fulfill Right to fulfill all the U.S. stuff, and then we'll get all the extras back.
I mean, with you obviously doing so many Kickstarters now, has this given you the ability to kind of, I guess, kind of negotiate kind of better rates for the business now that you're established and things like that? Are you more aware of what you should be looking for if you're going out and engaging with businesses for their kind of services?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I do have a deal with my manufacturer where, like, if I stay with them, I get a discount that other people don't, just because I'm one of those people that actually, talk up when I have complaints. So that's pretty good, and I really like Long Pack because, like, anything that I have a complaint about, they do fix and they compensate me in some sort of way about things. Like on Stellar Leap, we had a hard time actually finalizing the player boards because they were like the dual layer player boards. But then they gave me free UV finish. So, I mean, I was happy about that because it made the box even fancier than it otherwise would be.
Well, that's pretty cool. And so, I mean, I take it allows you to kind of prepare easier for your, like, say, for your manufacturing for Fire in the Library. Were you already aware of kind of everything that they potentially might need in order to make production go as smoothly as possible?
Yeah. So a lot of that was about the same. Like, the only new thing was the magnet box. So that did
Mm-hmm.
provide some like hiccups and stuff. But I mean, I'd known how to do a box, so it wasn't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do another box on like magnet box on Dreams of Tomorrow, I'll just know how they work. Like Dreams should really be the thing where it's like I've done all the things, I've done custom meeples, I know how cards work
Mm-hmm.
and boxes work,
Mm-hmm.
so it should go super simple at this point.
Yeah, yeah. Does that allow you to concentrate more on the kind of the quality of life for the gameplay type of thing? If you've got the rest of everything kind of sorted out, does that allow you to kind of, I guess, take a step back a little bit and say, right, I know where I am with the manufacturing. Let's spend a little bit of time on kind of finessing stuff.
Well, I still spend about the same amount of time. I just I go quicker in other aspects, so I'm working on more different games all at the same time. Like I don't think quality has
Mm-hmm.
ever like increased. It's always been the same. Like, well, I'm pretty picky about a lot of things, so I like to think I have pretty high standards.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, have you still got a big? Because I think when we last spoke, you were always saying, well, we've kind of got a few games that we're kind of working on in the background. Um, are you also kind of actively looking to kind of publish people's kind of work as well? And is that going to be part of what you're doing with, say, Galactic Raptor? Raptor, that you're going to be doing that on that side, or is that side going to be purely your stuff? And are you still going to be looking at helping kind of publishing on the Weird Giraffe side of things?
So the near future, I've signed a few games, both with Galactic Raptor and Weird Giraffe Games. So
All right.
I probably won't publish another one of my games until maybe 2020. But since I have so many
Mm.
plans in progress, I think I'll have time to actually work on my designs a lot more because, well, designing your own game takes a lot longer than signing a game and then developing it
Yeah.
because the designer has already spent, a year getting it to a pretty good spot. So signing a game is
Mm.
generally a lot faster than doing it on your own. Well, and you have the designer to help out usually. Some designers
Yeah.
want to be part of anything after you sign their game, but like a lot of them are really, really good at stuff. Like Stephen Armani, like he is amazing. That's the Animal Kingdoms guy. He's also
Yeah. Yeah.
done like a bunch of other games, but he is like really fantastic to work with because I'll just be like, okay, I want to try out this and that, and then he'll just update all the files for me. Where on other projects, I have to do all the updating, I have to find time to do that. Instead, like with
Yeah.
him, it just magically appears. Here's the new files, just print them and play them, and then tell me what you think after that.
It's it's kind of like I'm just making a suggestion and it's in my inbox kind of 3 hours later, and you're like, I didn't even really ask you to do that. You've just gone ahead and done it anyway, and this is all kind of magical and fantastic and kind of thing. It must. I take it. It must kind of take a little bit of a stress to have you not always having to come up with the ideas, with somebody else also being able to kind of pitch in and kind of add their kind of two bits to the conversation as well.
Yeah, it's like really awesome actually being able to like converse with somebody instead of me like just sitting there going like, "Oh, okay, I think this idea is really cool, but where do we go
Mm-hmm.
now?" But then I can just say what my ideas are and whoever I'm working with can be like, "Oh yeah, that is a really cool idea and you can do this and this and this." And I'm like, "Whoa, that was great collaboration." Like it's just a lot better working with people because it's like being able to talk
Yeah.
something through like gets you more ideas, but also just having
Yeah.
someone else to do some of the work and talk things through is great.
That's kind of cool. Um, have you? I mean, back when we spoke about kind of the publishing side of things, I mean, we were speaking back about kind of Fire in the Library, and you kind of trying to get that kind of published. Is that you kind of the way forward for the company? Is that the way you're kind of looking at doing things? Is to have a percentage of games that you're going to be bringing to people's tables is going to be kind of, you're going to be just publishing, and other people are going to be doing most of the creation side of things.
Well, I'm doing a lot of like signing of games with other designers right now so that I
Mm-hmm.
hopefully can like speed up the process and get into distribution because distribution really wants you to have like a good game plan and have lots of different games. So once I get into distribution and start selling, then I think I want to like step back a little and actually focus a lot more on my own designs and maybe slow down. But then the games are all mine, and in the meantime, the other games can sell through distribution. And I'll also be doing a lot of expansions. Because part of my process is I really like to slim down games, so like there's not too much going on, like they're really easy to learn and play and to like relearn when you pick it up again in like 2 months. So one of the things I do is I have a spreadsheet of all like the extra ideas that I cut out, and I'm like, oh, okay, these are good ideas, but not good enough to get into the base game right now, or maybe they're more complicated. Like for Fire in the Library, I actually have already designed a whole big expansion for it. Like it is something like 15 to 20 new tools to add to the game, and it's all play tested. It's ready to go whenever I can get Beth's time again to do the art. So yeah, like it might not actually slow down because I have a number of games where I just have like, oh, okay, since the Kickstarter started, I do have the expansion right here. I just won't do anything with it until like a year later because people like to actually play the game and have it for a while before you do the expansion. So I have like a number of those in the background that are, just ready and waiting.
Yeah. No, I've seen that recently with the Stonebound saga, and they just released their kind of expansion for their kind of first game. They went through kind of Kickstarter for their first, the kind of the main game, and now they're kind of coming along with the kind of the expansion that they've also kind of put through Kickstarter. And interestingly enough, the expansion's taken slightly longer to fund, but the kind of the funding on it has been kind of very, very kind of steady, and kind of growing as it's kind of gone along until it's now funding now, and they're kind of looking at kind of stretch goals. With regards to distribution, it's one of the things. Distribution is one of the places I'd like to get somebody on to talk to about it, because I'm sure people have like a multitude of questions, and I have a multitude of questions about it. Is it the kind of big holy grail for someone like yourself to grab? If you can get into like a distribution agreement with, say, like your is it like Asmodee? And are there a lot of kind of distributors out there that you can tap on the shoulder and ask them to look at kind of distributing your product?
Well, there's a number of them, but it's not like a holy grail. Like you can get into distribution, which means like game stores will be able to buy your game from the distributors, then they can sell them. But that doesn't mean that you get lots of cash immediately. That means that now people can have like a easy way to buy your game. Well, not people, but like game store owners. Because this industry is all really weird because every game store owner, like they typically only own like one or two stores. So you have to convince the distributors to get your game in there, and then you have to still do all the marketing and stuff and get to the game store owners so that they know that they should buy your game, and then they can try to sell it. And they'll only order like one or maybe two copies at the time, so you have to get the people to request at the game stores for your game and then to buy them, and then like eventually you'll get like the repeated sales, like once people see it on the shelves and know your name a little more. So it's a process, definitely.
Is that why kind of the retail kind of pledge on Kickstarter is a relatively kind of important one, to make sure that you're kind of helping kind of get the game kind of out there in front of people who might not kind of go for Kickstarters anyway?
So it's semi-important. Like you can get into some game stores and maybe they'll like be interested enough to buy more, but it's still talking with each game store owner individually, and there's a lot of game store owners. It'd be a lot better if you could talk to like hundreds of them at the same time versus just like making sure like each person, each individual retailer like that backs it actually gets it into their store. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so so you're better having the relationship with the guy that is going in and saying, okay, I've got like 15 copies of this. I've got 20 copies of this. Oh, and I've got like 3 copies of say Stellar Leap. Do you want to get kind of a hold of that? Yeah. And is that going to be the plan kind of going forward? I mean, are you gonna be like looking at kind of offering the entire back catalogue, kind of like going forward? So it'll be a case of if you've had Stellar Leap, then you can look into Fire of the Library, and then going forward it'll be kind of like Dreams of Tomorrow and things like that. Is that kind of like the overall kind of game plan you're kind of looking at? Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a couple game plans that I hope like one of them just ends up working out. But yeah, like if I can get like Starleap and Fire into the Library into retail, and then people can look me up and go, oh, there's other games, or they can come to me in at a convention and go, oh yeah, I like Starleap, maybe I'll like these other games, and be able to get repeat customers that way.
Were you kind of taken aback by what happened with Fire in the Library and the success of it? Was that a really kind of nice surprise, kind of going into kind of like your first game that you had published in essence for someone else? Yeah.
Yeah, it was really exciting to just see the numbers go up and to see like everything happening. Um, like it that Kickstarter did better than any other Kickstarter, but it kind of made sense like afterwards, because I was like, oh yeah. So I had Tony helping, I had John helping, and John was the other designer for the game. I had Beth Sobel, who Beth is like super famous and people love her. And also I had Katie Cow, who is a somewhat um, famous graphic designer in the board game community. So
Yeah.
instead of like Stellar Leap, where Stellar Leap was just me, I was still kind of like not that well known. I had gotten a illustrator and graphic designer that wasn't part of the board game community, so they didn't bring any backers themselves. But like just
Yeah.
seeing like that big collaboration of all the board game people coming together, and then seeing like all um, the success that brought. That probably is what made me like really think that signing games was good, and also working with others, and like the start of Galactic Raptor, just seeing like, oh yeah, working with multiple people at the same time, means you'll be more likely to have success.
Yeah. I mean, but your name has grown. I mean, your social media presence is right up there. I mean, whenever you kind of tweet something out or make a comment on something, it's not like you're getting kind of like 1 or 2 people occasionally liking the information that you're putting out there. I mean, I regularly kind of, you get notifications on Twitter saying you might want to look at these following kind of 12 tweets that have come out. And there's always one from yourself, like kind of giving kind of updates or what's happening. And it's always got, there's always a good kind of likes. There's always a good kind of couple of tweets on it. There's a good couple of replies. I mean, there's obviously an audience out there that's engaging with you. Is that a weird kind of situation to be in, considering kind of where you were, even kind of like three odd years back, when we kind of first, I guess when we first spoke, and we were talking about Stellar Leap.
Yeah, like it's really been weird. Like, so I don't really like, you say these things and I'm like, oh yeah, like I have like 4,000 followers or something, but like the number just doesn't click with me. Like all of a sudden, if that makes sense. And like going to conventions, like I went to Origins and I had a booth for the first time, and I had like
Yeah.
a line of people that just wanted to like talk to me or say hi, and I was like, whoa, this is not what I expected. Because like I went in and I was like, okay, if no one wants to talk to me this whole time, that's fine. I
Yeah.
am prepared for this.
Yeah.
Like people don't know
Yeah.
me, but then there was like a line and I had to like speak like constantly for like 8 hours a day, and it was really surprising, like especially since I remember somebody said that they recognized my voice, and like they like read my tweets like in my voice, like because I've been on podcasts and stuff, and I was like, whoa, like people listen to the podcast I'm on. That's just a weird thought. Like I know I do it. Like obviously I think that someone is going to listen to this, but like
Yeah.
just putting like a name or a face to the person that's listened to me is just so weird.
Yeah, no, I know where you're coming from. It is kind of like when you get it doesn't happen to me, but an awful lot, if at all. But it must be kind of so strange because I remember us having the first conversations about you coming on the first time you came on the podcast, and you're like, "Oh, what about this?" I'm just a bit, maybe a bit nervous. And now it's like, okay, I'm into my fourth Kickstarter. I've set up a second company. We're publishing games left, right, and center. It's kind of, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's be like almost like it's just excellent to see kind of somebody doing so well in the industry, and it's not through kind of like a one-off shot or a gimmick, or you know what I mean. It's generally, you seem to just be working away steadily, consistently, kind of trying new things, and it's kind of impressive. But I guess it's also it must be encouraging for other people who are maybe sitting there with the first game in front of them, saying, "Okay, I'm going to try this on Kickstarter and see kind of where it goes." Let's talk about the next game coming out. So, Dreams of Tomorrow. Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so Dreams of Tomorrow. It is a set collection shifting action spaces game, or a rondel, if you know what a rondel is. So in the game, you are a dream engineer and you are constructing a dream sequence to send into the past because your present, is not exactly what you wanted it to be. Like our future, things went poorly, okay? As they do in media, like there's never like a future that's like, hey, everything is perfect and people are happy. Like that's never how the future goes. So, to fix the issue, we're sending back in time dream sequences so that the people that are dreaming in our time, like they wake up and they're like, oh yeah, we have to go do something about this climate change thing, or whatever it is that the dream is about. Like it's either like you want to prevent some like catastrophe from happening, or you want to like make them go toward a certain goal based on like the artwork of the dream sequence. So yeah. And I think it's a really unique game because I've never played a game that has a shifting rondel, like a rondel where you can move parts of it. And for people that don't know what a rondel is, there's actually a lot of them, I've learned, so that's why I say like action spaces. A rondel is something that you move around, you take a certain number of, you can move a certain number of spaces, and the action that you land on is the action you take. So,
all right, okay.
So yeah, so in the game there is a dream marketplace. You want to go and capture one of those dreams into your dream catcher, and once it's in your dream catcher, you can use its abilities. You can also weave the dreams into a dream sequence once they're in your dream catcher. But when you do that, you can only use the ability of the dream to the far right. Like the last ability is the only one you can see. So you have to make sure to do it in a certain order. Like you can't just weave all your dreams real fast because then you lose your abilities, and then you lose your ability to like change the rondel in the way that you want to, so you can get to the spaces that you need right now.
Where'd you get the idea for this?
So this one was another one that I originally signed by Philip Perry. So the game was about building totem poles.
All right.
It had the some of the shifting rondel part of it, and I really like that part of the game. So I basically, after I signed it, there were some abilities where you could shift the rondel, like maybe 1 and 6 abilities, and I just basically cranked it to 11, and I was like, okay, most of these abilities are gonna let you do some crazy thing with a rondel. But then I also discovered that building totem poles in a game is kind of a no-no. That's offensive.
Yeah.
The dream idea, I'm not really sure where it came from. I know that I love time travel. Like time travel is one of my like big things. I think I was watching the TV show 12 Monkeys at the like same time I came up with the dream idea because I mean, that is an excellent show, one, and time travel, like what are we doing with the rondel, and what are you constructing? So one thing about the game with the theme as it is now, a lot of the action spaces give other people resources, so you have to think about like if you really need all of that experience, because everyone
Yeah.
else is going to get experience also. So I think with this theme, like if you're all like, if you can imagine everyone like in a collective consciousness and like you're all kind of dreaming, like anything you do in there will kind of affect everyone else. So I think the theme I changed it to makes more sense than the original theme, which I like because
Yeah.
like in the original game it's like, why are you giving somebody else paint? I don't know. It's just I get paint. Everyone gets paint because we're happy people together or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. How did the original designer react to you turning around and saying, look, I like the foundation of the game, but the theme is something that we're going to have to change? Were they quite happy to go along with the changes straight away? Was there a bit of a dialogue that had to happen before they agreed to that?
so one of the things I really wanted was the Native American totem pole theme. And so I really tried to make it happen, but it got to the point where it was just like, I can't. Like, this is super offensive to people. I wanted to get a Native American involved. Hopefully, like, as an illustrator. I thought that would be a really cool way to do it, but I just couldn't find a Native American illustrator that was willing to work with me. Like, they would just say, no, that's not like what my tribe does, and also you shouldn't do this. And I was like, okay, like I should listen to people because
Yeah.
they know the subject matter a lot better than I do. And
Mm-hmm.
the designer wasn't happy about it. I think he understood the whole it's offensive thing, but
Yeah.
yeah, definitely not happy. And after the theme was changed, he didn't really want a lot to do with it. I think maybe because the theme changed or because he didn't have or he didn't feel like he had a lot of input into it. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I try to get people's opinions, but sometimes I go really fast, as you say. And sometimes people get kind of intimidated by that. Like, oh, they're like, oh, Carla's going like super crazy fast and decisions have been made, where I'm like, nope, I'm talking about all the different things. This could be chefs, this could be dreams, or it
Yeah.
could be these 10 other themes. I don't know what theme it'll be until, I decide on all the things. I almost changed the theme of fire in the library, but I never did because I didn't get the entire package, because the entire package has to make sense before,
Yes.
like I need a title, I need to know what the resources are, I need to know what every area of the game is before I can
Yeah.
say like this is the theme, this makes sense all the way through. And I think he just got really intimidated when I was like, okay, if this was the game, what would the title be, what would all the different resources be, what would we call every single thing. I think he thought that it was like a sure thing when it was more like that's my process. Like I go and I try to
Yeah.
figure out
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, if it was chefs cooking food together like sandwiches, because sandwiches are stacked on top of each other. So that was another thing it could have been. But I couldn't
Yeah.
find a title that I liked, so it never was that.
Yeah. 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 And I guess if you're going to be publishing a game, you've got to kind of balance up not just. I guess you got to balance up not just the commercial side of things. You've got to, I guess, balance up things like, well, is this appropriate? Are people gonna are people going to be offended by the potential subject matter kind of thing? Is it kind of, am I potentially being kind of tone deaf on this one, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, like that's what I really didn't want, cause like I'm still like I consider myself a new publisher, and if my fourth game just completely tanked and people got a lot like really angry about it, that could just ruin the
yeah,
entire company. So that's not what I wanted to happen, and I was really glad because I don't know if you heard about another Native American game. It was called Manitoba, I think. But that one recently
yeah,
got published, and people were pretty uh, angry about different aspects of it. And I like saw all the people reacting and stuff, and I was like, "Whoa, that looks so
that,
stressful for the creators. Like, I do not want to
yeah,
deal with angry people ever. That'd be great if I could just
yeah,
never like anger like a large population, or even like just having like 5 people angry, like that seems like really stressful as well.
Yeah. Especially if you've. It's not like you've gone out your way, but it's like if it's again, it's like I've not. I thought this potentially could be an issue, but I didn't look into it enough to check if it was an issue, and now it is a kind of an issue, and oops, damn, I don't know what to kind of do next. And as you say, you're a fairly young publisher, so it's not a case that you want to make sure you're covering any kind of potential kind of pitfalls that could be that could occur. And you do hear. I mean, it is something that is likely to get get flagged in bigger media and spread on social media and stuff like that as well. And it's, I guess, you don't want creating games is stressful enough, and you don't need that kind of additional stress piling on when you could have prevented it.
Yeah,
I guess, which is a bit.
Well, and another thing is I think the theme of dreams is more approachable to people. Like, everyone has had a dream. Okay, so, and everyone, like, or a lot of people at least, really like the art. So I think the changing of theme, it was good from the whole, like, I'm not offending people anymore, other than the people that might get offended, that I cared about people that could be offended, which I don't really care about all those people. But I think it's more appealing of a theme just in general. Like, the story works. Like, it's an interesting story, I think. The mechanics make more sense. Like, it lets people get a little more immersed in it. So, I mean, I think it was good from all fronts.
Going forward with you, I mean, this is obviously going to Kickstarter.
Yeah. Yeah, in like 16 hours, maybe.
Do you, I know it's only like your fourth project. Are you still kind of a little bit, we've got to press the button? Is it kind of nerve time?
Oh, definitely.
When you're going to kind of press the button?
Yeah, I am pretty nervous. I've been going between like, oh yeah, maybe it'll do really well and I'll get to like quit my job, and I'm like, and then like that high there, and then like I go like all the way down to like, oh, what if no one shows up and like I just fail? Like, this is just, well, because it is a bad time for Kickstarter. Like, it's October, people are buying stuff for Christmas, and it's like, oh, I just keep on thinking about the add-on image that I made. Like, nobody's gonna really care about what it looks like, but I'm like really worried about it for whatever reason, and I'll probably go fix it after this. Like, fix it. Like, I need to, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. But it's like, yeah, I'm pretty nervous. I have a lot more people that are helping out with different things this time. And I'm like, every Kickstarter, I get a lot more prepared. Like, I have a lot of reviewer quotes. I have a lot of things that are done and ready. Where in the past, like, it's been like, oh, it's the day before and I only have one review. What do I do? Yeah, like, now I have like, I don't know, like 10 quotes on the page, so it'll be fine regardless. But
yeah,
it's still nerve-wracking because there's so much out of my control. Like, once I hit launch, I have to like rely on all these people to know what day it is, which I'm terrible at, and to go online and spend their money.
Yeah. But then again, is it also the pressure that's there because Fire in the Library did about 75 grand? You kind of going,
Yeah, like, I feel like if it doesn't, well, people will definitely like notice if it doesn't do as well, and I don't think it will do as well. Like, I mean, honestly, it'll be great if it gets funded and I get like 20 or 30,000. Like, I'll be happy with that. I'll be perfectly fine. But there's always this thing, because every Kickstarter up until this point, I've done a lot better at. Like, my first Kickstarter, I got like 8 or 9,000. The second Kickstarter, I got like 20,000. And the third Kickstarter, I got like 70 or something, 65, something that was like way more than the previous two combined. So, I mean, if people look at that on a chart, they're like, oh yeah, obviously Carla's gonna do like really, really wonderful, and then they'll think, I don't know, maybe they'll think I did something poorly, or I don't know if I don't do like completely fantastic, which, like, there's the pressure there. But I think people that know Kickstarter know that it's like a hard time for everyone, even if you are really established, like more established than me. I've seen Kickstarter creators
Yeah.
struggle with it, which is also intimidating because, like, if people that have done like 10 Kickstarters are struggling to fund on some of them, like, what does that mean for me?
Yeah, it's still impossible to tell what's going to do well and what's actually going to kind of just click along. I still haven't seen it. It's not even. I don't even if it's down to the theme. It's down to the price. It's down whatever. I'm at a complete loss when I see some of them kind of romping home at 1,000% over their funding target, and I see others kind of limping home at 101% above their funding target, and they're both done kind of exactly the same kind of way in terms of the marketing side of things. I mean, in terms of marketing, has your approach been exactly the same as you did for Fire in the Library, or have you changed your approach to that?
So I think this time I might have done more interviews than before, or than Fire in the Library, but it probably evened out since it was only me doing interviews versus like me, Tony, and John doing the interviews. I did get help from Bebo, from Be Bold Games. Like, she's helping out with like the videos and some marketing advice and stuff like that. So that should help out a bit. In addition, I've tried a few different reviewers. Like, I think I still went with like 25 reviewers because I don't know, I get really scared about like not having enough reviews. Kind of because, well, Stellar Leap, there was a hurricane right before it, so a few of the reviewers just couldn't, like, they were stuck without power, so yeah, that happens sometimes.
Exactly.
But like life can, like, if you don't like contact enough reviewers, like I know like 25 is a lot. Like, people like question me and they're like, "Really, Carla? You're still getting that many? Like, you're not a first time person." But I'm like, I don't know who's gonna have a baby or who's gonna like there was another hurricane like just recently, and a couple of the reviewers I did choose, like, they, like, none of the power went out this time. It wasn't as bad, but I mean, it really could have been. And just people have life events, like, just as always, like, there's one reviewer that's just too busy to get it done, and like, sure, they send the game along, but if I only went with like 3 or 4 reviewers and two of them got hurricaned and one had a baby and one had a life event, then that means there's just the one reviewer, and hopefully he really liked it. But yeah.
When I spoke to Gabe Barrett, Board Game Design Lab, he was saying, well, you only really need a couple of reviews on the kind of the page, and that ideally should be kind of enough. But I'm also thinking at the same time that if these guys are content creators, then as a content creator, they're going to be spreading what they've created anyway. So you kind of get caught up in the kind of the stream. I mean, like, let's face it, when I put this episode out there, in the middle of December, because obviously I've no good with dates or times at the moment at all, there will be, there'll be 200 odd people that will listen to the episode, if not more. And out of those, there'll be a certain percentage that will go ahead and they would have listened to you talk to me before, so they'll instantly be, well, we have to check this out. But I mean, we're almost like a form of kind of marketing, I guess, ourselves, and I guess the reviewers, they're kind of a form of art marketing anyway, because they'll be wanting to put their content out in front of kind of other people. So it's kind of one of these kind of strange situations. And also, do you not feel that you don't want to be that person that sits there and goes, well, my last Kickstarter did so well, I'm just going to do it, I don't have to do as much marketing? Do you think it's good that you're kind of slightly, I guess, nervous or paranoid that, you're just not going to get the figures that you got last time, that is making you kind of send out those 25 copies to the various kind of review guys?
Yeah, I think it's good to be worried, because then I won't be caught unawares. Like, I know that a few other Kickstarter creators are like, yeah, this is my 5th campaign, it's just gonna, fund and go, and then they're like a week or two in, they're like, oh, it didn't do that, now what do I do? And then by then it's too late. But if I'm worried like a month in advance and doing all these things to try to help it out, then hopefully those all add up. And there's also the fact of, like getting people to see a thing a number of times. Like maybe somebody reads one review and they go to the page, but then they go to the page and they see all these other reviewers, and maybe they read like another 2 or 3 reviews, and then they actually back. Like, you can't be guaranteed that just because somebody's like listening to this podcast that they'll go back, but maybe they'll listen, they'll find out about it, and then they'll be convinced by another review or another interview. It's like that. Like, I heard that you have to see something 3 times before you really want to buy it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And also at the same time, you'll have there'll be certain reviewers that I have an affinity with. I don't know how. Generally, if they say a game is good, then I'll generally enjoy that game. If they say they've got so about the game, then I've usually found it kind of like the same way. So again, I guess if you've got like only say 2 or 3 previews, and it happens that somebody goes on and you say, all right, well this guy here hasn't, board meetings haven't reviewed it, Polyhedron Collider haven't looked at it, Unlucky Frog haven't had a look at it, both sides of my table hadn't played through, so I'm not, these are the guys I look for just to have, reviewed or previewed a game, and I can't see any of them on this list, so I'm not in my comfort zone, therefore I'm not going to look at it because I don't know if it'll be something that I kind of personally kind of like, I guess, which is a good argument for having as many people kind of look at it as well. And also, I guess, is the feedback side of things. Have you had interesting feedback from the reviewers that's made you kind of look at something slightly differently, or maybe kind of make slight changes or pick up on things that they've brought to your attention?
Yeah, actually. So the first one's kind of funny, where one reviewer, they contacted me and like they showed me their review, and in the review they're like, "Oh, it's obvious, like you'll win all the time if you go for the high pointed dreams. Like that's just how you win." And then I had another reviewer, and they're like, "Oh, okay, you have to go for the set collection. That's how you win every time. Like the amount of points on the dreams, it doesn't really matter." And I read both of those, and I was like, "Oh, so there's 2 strategies that work at least," which I thought was kind of funny. That like some people, like, they just go with what their heart says. Like I know, like, in set collection games that happens, where if you say set collection and you can't win through set collection, people are like, "Whoa, I need to set collect to even my detriment." So I thought that was interesting. But one of the things that I think it was actually Edo who said that there wasn't enough escalation in the base game. And so the game has 2 different modes of play. There's the Pleasant Night, where you just get to affect the rondel yourself, and then there's the Troubled Night, which adds in the Nightmare. And the Nightmare is really crazy, and it wreaks havoc, and it makes you replan everything on your turn usually, because, like, I mean, it's a nightmare. That's what it's supposed to do. But he mentioned that it wasn't like escalating, and I was like, "Oh, okay. I can make it escalate. Like, there could be 3 game modes instead of just the 2, where on the third game mode would kind of be like a mix of both, where once any one player gets to 3 dreams, then the nightmare gets added. Then, like, your plans get messed up after you're already halfway through the game."
Okay, so in terms then of you, I mean, you've obviously decided on kind of prices and costs and stuff like that. So how much is it going to be to get in the door? What's the kind of the pledge levels going to be?
So the price of the game is $22, and depending on where you live, there will be a shipping cost. It is, I believe, $7 shipping in the U.S., 13 in the EU and Canada, and 18 in other countries.
All right, okay. So is it kind of going along the same route with like the similar games? Is it kind of like the similar kind of pricing structure? Is it going to be like the similar size kind of boxes and stuff that you're going for as well? So you've been kind of working within the same kind of shipping costs?
So I actually used the Fire in the Library costs when I was doing this, because we're getting ready to ship Fire in the Library, and I plan to have it be in the exact same box, actually. So we haven't launched, and we haven't met the magnet box goal, but if it is a magnet box, it'll be heavier, and I think, well, I know in the past I've just like spent extra of my money to make stretch goals happen because I'm like, I want a magnet box real bad. So I guess I will go further in debt to make this happen. Um, so I didn't based off
Oh
that
dear.
because like well also it's good as a company. I have a small box shape, which is my first game. It's like just a tuck box. My medium box
Yeah.
is going to be for all my medium level games, which is the Fire in the Library size and Dreams of Tomorrow. And then I
Yeah.
have my big box size, which is the Stellar Leap. So all of my games should fall into those sizes, which means like they
Yeah.
stack up well and they look well, like good together, because that's
That's
important,
cool.
like shelving and stuff.
Just so everything can be lined up together, so people can say, well, there's all my weird giraffe stuff. But then obviously you're going to have your big box games coming out, so you're going to have to think about your box sizes and everything like that for that when they come out, I guess.
hmm Well, Stellar Leap
That's cool.
should fit anything that I want to do. It's pretty big, but I mean, if I go even bigger than that, then there's the regular, like, you know how there's a regular, like, large box size? And that's the
Yeah.
only regular size in board games for whatever reason. I'd probably go to
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
size. I don't know. I get so
All
annoyed
right.
at my shelves because things don't line up, and I really wish that they did. Like, why don't we have standard sizes? That would be so cool.
I'm just looking at it just now, and I'm looking at all the various different boxes. I mean, there's one set, I think, where I've got like Isle of Skye and Carcassonne and Subterra and Sherlock Holmes, and they all line up just nice and pretty. So that's kind of cool. But there's obviously others out there which are just they're just all over the place, like the Armada box or the Dungeon Saga box, or even the Pandemic box isn't kind of like a standard size. It's just not. It's just not good at all. It's just not good at all. So campaign's launching tomorrow. The 15th. If we want to keep an eye on you on the interweb nets, how do we keep an eye on you on the interweb nets?
Okay, so the Kickstarter is going to be at weirdgiraffe.games/dreams. If you want to go check that out. I do have a website at weirdgiraffegames.com. I'm on Twitter at Weird Giraffes, and people can always send me an email at contact@weirdgiraffegames.com.
Are you excited for tomorrow when you're pressing the button? Kind of.
I'm really excited, but also super nervous at the same time, and I just hope that I don't like throw up or something. But that's why you launch in the morning before you eat, because like if you launch right after you eat, like that's just asking for trouble.
There's a whole kind of if you if you spew and she stays, it's meant to be. No, that's just a. Yeah, okay, enough of the Wayne's World kind of jokes. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a pleasure as always. If you want to keep an eye on what we're up to, go to the Googles, search for We're Not Wizards. We're on Twitter and Facebook and Tabletop, and we're on, where are we? We're on all different types of places I can't even think about at the moment. YouTube, and you can find us on Instagram. We've got our website, which is we'renotwizards.com. We have got all the podcast catchers, Stitcher and Spreaker and Spotify, and we're also on Apple Podcasts. And as we say, if you like what you've listened to tonight, then give us a subscription on Apple Podcasts. If you like us even more than that, give us a rating or a review. If you're going to give us a rating or a review, don't give us 10 stars because it makes us big-headed. Don't give us 1 star because it makes us cry. And there's a song in that. Give us 5 stars because it's in the middle and it's average. And we are decidedly average. There's only 2 more things to do. The first thing is to say that we are many things, but we're not wizards. Are we wizards?
We're not wizards.
Carla.
We're not wizards.
Definitely not. Definitely not. And the second thing is to say goodbye. So it's a goodbye from the rather wonderful, the rather fantastic Carla Kopp. Say goodbye, Carla.
Goodbye, everyone, and thank you so much for listening.
And it's a goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe, roll sixes, and all those things about dreams, to sleep, perchance to dream. In dreams, I walk alongside you. But make sure from tomorrow that you there'll be links in the show notes so that we have notes to show. So make sure you go in and you check out Dreams of Tomorrow, because if it's anything like Fire in the Library, if it's anything like Stellar Loop, it looks very, very interesting indeed. But until the next time, goodbye.
A wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.